Hi, it's Gadget UK again. I've been waiting to get around to this video for so long. It's the thing that's kept me going, and my health has been absolutely crap in the last week. I thought I was dying. I was writing a will out at the beginning of the week. Seriously, and I'm not convinced I've got to the bottom of the problems yet. I've had a lot of ups and downs over the week. Anyway, this came all the way from the States, from the amazing Agnus. I did the initial unboxing of this and broke down, well, I'll leave it to your imagination, broke down in tears. And that was shared with people on Patreon and YouTube members. So yeah, have a search of, if you remember, have a search of my back library there and you'll find it. You can see we've got a memory adapter here, yeah. It's an Amiga 3000 motherboard and there's a bunch of stuff in here. I've been so excited to get around to look at this. So you can see we've got BFG there. It's the reverse mount one. Agnus designed it in such a way that the kel connector goes on the other side, yeah, so that you can overlap it that way off the end of the board and still probe the motherboard when you're trying to diagnose things. So this makes it a really nice card for, you know, diagnosing problems on a 4000 motherboard with using that CPU. But we got the memory here, you know, you've got some sims in there to give you your fast memory instead of using, you know, the zip things. It's got the little pins here that go into the zip sockets. And we've got, what else have we got? I think he sent a Fat Gary, if memory serves, yeah, was it Fat Gary? Oh, there's a Fat Gary on the board, but a Super Buster with a broken pin, so I need to fix that. We've got a hybrid that I'm probably going to need, and that's got a broken pin, or one of them has, there might be two, and a crystal, which is just amazing. But everything we need here for 3000, including the 3000 motherboard. We've got the bridge board there for it. Honestly, actually, I'm blown away. I was blown away then, but I'd forgotten what was in this box. Now I'll come in it like a kid in a chocolate shop. So I've got some sockets there, a connector with a nice label on it for the A1481. There's a video of that coming up. If it's not already up, it will be up very soon, because that's mostly finished that video. Some sims to stick in that sim adapter. We've got, what have we got in here? Is this the same box I just opened? No, it's not. We've got an 060 CPU. It's the LC flavour, but that'll be fantastic for that BFG. So it's like Christmas. I'm so excited. Some pin headers here. We've got something here. What's this? Is this an adapter for Agnus? It might be. Yeah, because I think the thought was I was going to have to fit an Agnus from a 500/600 into this with an adapter. So he sent me that. We've got some little Terminator things here. Scuzzy Terminators, I think. So there's so many projects here. They're going to be split over so many videos. But I am so excited to finally get into this. And then we've got a Zulu Scuzzy Compact Homebrew. It's just incredible, absolutely incredible. So I'm going to have one of those that I can use with this 3000 Scuzzy board. And then we got these chips I ordered myself, some Scuzzy chips, because we haven't got those on this board. And then I've got an Agnus here that I was going to use, I think that's an Agnus, yeah, -10. It's got to be an Agnus there. So that was going to go on this board, but I think we're not going to do that now. I'm going to use a chip that came from Jamie Morgan. And that's what we're going to start, by getting all chips onto this board that we can, and see if we can boot it. Because now I have that Agnus, thanks to the amazing Jamie Morgan, and I'm paying him for that. It's not like I'm not giving him anything for it. I am. It'll just mean that I don't need to build an adapter. But at this point, actually, I haven't even sent Jamie's board back. I've got the chip, and it's made me want to rush to get this out. It's a combination of things. It's the fact I haven't felt very well at all this last week, and I figured that, if you know what, if I am on death's door and about to leave this world sometime in the next 6 months, I'd like to get this 3000 up and running. And you might not believe me when I'm talking about these things about my health, but I've got like anemia type symptoms. I've got pains in my shoulder, I've got blood clots forming. It's like everything that fits in with something pretty terminal. It might not be. It could just be massive amount of malnutrition. Because, well, medication I've been on for 20 years. I only discovered in the last 4 or 5 days it leads to malnutrition. It leads to magnesium deficiencies, it leads to vitamin D deficiencies, calcium problems. Everything that I've suffered from. So anyway, I'm sure I'm going to be alright. I'm feeling a lot better today. Enthusiastic enough to open this, as you know what, I don't think I'm going anywhere just yet. But I've put this off for far too long. So doesn't that look absolutely glorious? It's absolutely amazing. Ah, I've just realised I can't test it on here because he's put these here. I haven't got the blooming socket. Ah, that's so annoying. I can plug a socket into that. Let's do that. Because, yeah, I mean, that's really good. When I first saw this, I remember saying, oh, that's amazing, he's put the things here, I can just put the adapter in. I think I might end up removing that and putting a socket if the chip works that Jamie sent me. And Jamie was sent this chip purely by accident. A company called Polyplay. They had these at 30 quid each, they were selling loads of them. I'm like, God, I wish I'd seen that at the time, and if they do work, then great. We tested it in his 500 plus, it doesn't work. The advert said it should be 500 plus, 600, 3,000. Well, if it works in the 3,000, I don't see how it could work in the 500 plus or the 2,000. I don't know. I suspect that these may have just been for the 3,000 and the company sold a load of them at 30 quid each and not realised, and maybe had lots of complaints because they don't work when it's supposed to go on a board like this. So I'll go and get a socket. We'll see if we can plug a socket into that, and then the next thing is to try and fit the customs we need. So we need a Ramsey, don't we? I think I've got one of those. Yeah, and obviously the main normal customs, you know, so some CAAs, I think somewhere back here, a Denise, a Paula. I think as long as we've got Ramsey, at that point we'll be alright without a Buster, and I think we'll be alright without Super DMAC. I think. I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember whether I ever tested that level of, you know, not having those chips on when we looked at Cather's Amiga 3000. Now, from what I understand, there is some minor issue. He did say it's a bit unstable, this board. Something's glitching somewhere or something, and I think he built a Amiga and obviously transplanted everything into that. It did suffer some, you know, some damage around the battery area previously, but it's quite moderate really, and he's done a good job of fitting a button cell and cleaning up around there, socketing one or two things. Yeah, there's a lot of flux and solder. We did say that because that was one of the last things he did. You know, it's not been cleaned up fully, this board. So anyway, let's see how we get on. So I'll get my Amiga customs out, we'll fit those, and we'll fit a socket. Right, so looking at Big Book of Amiga hardware, and I've just noticed I need some ROMs down there. That's going to be a pain, but I think I can use diag-ROM to start with. Let's try and get these. So I've got two CIAs, got one CIA up here. The pins are nice and straight on these, and they're previously tested. They came from Analogic, originally donated by Stefan, and I think in part by Analogic, but Stefan contributed towards these, I think. He may have bought them outright, actually, now I think about it. I honestly can't remember. So we've got two CIAs there. That's good. That's DMAC. I've got an adapter for DMAC and an FPGA DMAC. We can cover that later. We've got Fat Gary. It was really nice of Cavados to include Fat Gary there. And then we've got a Ramsey down here, don't we? That says RAM controller. Yeah, that's Fat Buster. So we're not going to fit Buster just yet. I now need to find my Ramsey. I think it's in this box here because I've got some chips from Analogic, and there's one or two other chips in here as well. Yeah, that's a Super Buster, that's a Rev 9, and I've got a Ramsey there, 07. So let me take that Ramsey 07 out. And this is not tested actually, it came straight from Analogic, so I hope it's alright. I have no reason to suspect it wouldn't be. They test the chips before they send them out, I think. It's funny the things you buy. It's like if I hadn't bought this now, I wouldn't have a Ramsey, would I? There's not very many customs I've got spares for things, you know, the AGA boards, and certainly, I mean, this isn't an AGA board, but it could be with a 3000 plus board. You know, this is similar. Well, same chipset as the 4000. So I'll just inspect the pins on this Ramsey 07. Nice and clean, non-bent. So I've got to try and find pin 1 now. There's an arrow in the socket pointing right, and there's a 1 down there, so just going to go that way. I mean, with the fact that we don't know whether that Ramsey works, I'm sure it does, but we don't know that for certainty, and we don't know what's going to happen without these fitted. I don't know whether the chip here is going to work or not. There could be quite a few different issues that I have to overcome before we can even get this to boot, I think. Yeah, so I've got diag-ROM low and diag-ROM high here for the 4000, but those work on the 3000. We've got 0 and 1, so you'd assume low goes into the 0. But it might not. I might need to watch back Cather's video to remind myself. And I think those have had turn pins in because they feel like it's not making a very good connection. That could be the other complication here. So we've got low and high. Just see how we get on, really. We need a Paula, a Denise and an Agnus. And I think that should be enough to maybe try and boot. Yeah, and an 8364 from memory, I think it's Paula, isn't it? So I've got an 8364, pins look good on that. So Paula can go down here. Feels a bit weird. It's probably at this point I realise I don't have a spare Denise, because I'll tell you what, we've gone through that many boards over the years where I've backfilled missing chips and things. 8362R8, that's a Denise, isn't it? So get one of these. These have both got OK written on them. So yep, let's get Denise in then. So Denise pin 1 is at the bottom near the battery. That's it. So I've got Denise in. I've got stuff everywhere here, I tell you. It's like that kid in a candy shop. Right, we need a socket for there now, and I don't know whether it's going to fit very well or not. We'll just have to see with this. I might have to now flip it over to solder that and fit a normal socket. But then if I do that, I might be undoing things and redoing things. I think the plan was, and Agnus pointed this out himself, he said if you go with this, bear in mind it'll interfere with your first Zorro slot. So you might want to remove that and fit the PCB flush with the board. I don't know even know if there's enough space to accommodate that with this here. So, you know, there could be some limitations here. I'm not sure. Yeah, so something fitting into the socket there. These legs might not be long enough, I don't know. I assume that that is Agnus sized. Let's get this into this. If we can, I'm going to try and find pin 1 on that now. Yeah, pin 1 is to the left here. So the chip wants to go that way around, which means the slant is at the bottom left. Like that. So if we size that up and say, does that fit? Yes, it does. It's been reclaimed, this socket. I don't know what it came off. Could have been my 2000. So yeah, we now need to try it and see if we can seat that in there. And we can, but like, is that fluffy? I don't know. It feels a bit fluffy. It's there. I just don't know whether it's making proper connections, so I'm going to have to be very careful. Just finger touch this, make sure it doesn't burn up. And of course we need to check the jumpers, don't we? Because if the jumpers aren't set right, well, it's not going to boot. I don't know where the internal external ones are, like for the CPU card. Expecting this to not boot, to be honest. I've been very, very, very surprised that it did, because we've got missing parts here. We've got so many, you know, unknowns, if you ask me. Like, does the Agnus work? Is the Agnus even making a connection? You know, you can risk killing things. I could kill something here because that's not fitted right. Right, I'm just going to just switch it on. We haven't got video at the moment. Switch it off. And just go around and just feel a few things. Yeah, there's nothing warm. Yeah, that's not working as things stand. I'm getting no RGB at all. Now, my expectation would be we should get RGB if we had the relevant clocks. Is there a crystal missing from this or something? I don't know. He sent me a crystal for some reason, didn't he? You see, what I don't know is, will one of these boot without the DMAC? Will one of these boot without a buster? So, because we're booting from the diagnostics ROM, I don't think we need a DMAC fitted, a super DMAC. Just looking around that, you know, I can see it's got a chip select of its own, so you know, it must be memory mapped or something, and loads of connections all the way around this. You know, data bus, bus request, bus grant, bus acknowledge, various things to, you know, integrate. You know, doing DMA transfers. And then we've got a P data bus out, that's all, you know, straight to the SCSI chip probably. More bus protocol sort of signal connections there. I don't see anything else, like in terms of this control and output enables of anything, other than the SCSI chip, and the only reason it's going to do that is to read the data in and out of the SCSI chip, and I haven't got a SCSI chip on there at the moment. So I think with the right kickstart, or in this case here, a diagnostics run, you don't need a Super DMAC fitted. We may need a Buster at the very least. It might boot without the DMAC. Because the thing is, you see, if you've not got a Buster here, something could be floating in terms of an output enable somewhere. But then would we not get RGB anyway? Because one of the first things that happens, you get clocks out here, clocks going to Denise, you get a sync, don't you? We're not getting that. Jumpers could be something to think about here as well. We've obviously got RAM there. There could be a fault with this as well. He did say it was intermittent. So we've got, I don't know, a number of complications there, haven't we? The ROMs could be the wrong way around, but would that stop us not getting sync? I don't think it would. I think we would get a sync. Yeah, it just feels like that maybe lots of the pins are just not joined up. I'm not sure how we can get around that. So the temptation might be to desolder that and then solder the socket straight on. I just think that I'm not sure whether this works or not. Should that work in a 500 plus? It doesn't work in the 500 plus when I was testing it for Jamie. The obvious thing here is for me to build the adapter that Mike T created, try one of my Agnuses that I know works in this socket here. If that does work, I need to remove this anyway if I want to try and fit it slightly lower profile. And I don't know whether that's going to be possible because of the gap here. I need to try and find that PCB. Where's that PCB you sent me? I've got stuff everywhere here. Maybe I should also try fixing this Buster before I do anything else, because you know what, if I had that in there, maybe then it would be alright. Yeah, the pin here is missing on this corner. Oh, he's included the pin with it. The pin is taped to the top there. That's nice, I could solder the original pin back on. I'll tell you what, let's do that, because that's going to be easy to do, isn't it? Well, I say easy, compared to removing a socket and building an Agnus adapter. It's the lesser of evils when it comes to time. So let's just move the board over there a bit. We'll bring the microscope down, we'll try and fix that Buster. Yeah, so what does a Buster do? It's bus arbitration, basically. I learned something from CRG the other day. I think he'd done a load of research on Buster, because well, you'll see a video on his channel. And I think the Buster was standing for Bus Master, removing the MAS, etc. Yeah, Bus Master. So it provides the Zorro bus arbitration. You know, it controls the Zorro slots. And if you look at the schematic, you can see it's bound to have some output enables, you know, that help control that arbitration for the address lines and data lines and things like that. It's like A, B, OE, I think that's like address bus output enable, and you've got 0, 1, 2, and there's data bus ones for 0 and 1. If you've not got those, the output enable signal there that goes to the buffers, they're going to float, aren't they? So that means that chip could be on the bus, off the bus, on the bus, off the bus, etc. And I think that's going to cause it to not boot. So we definitely need, I believe, a Buster in there. You know what, I've just remembered. The other thing with this is one of these is broke. This is why there's a hybrid. It might be this one. Is this the one that relates to the video coming out here? It could be. And obviously we're not got an amber, so we can't use the VGA here. I mean, I'd have to take my GBA 1000 to pieces to take that out. You don't get any of the video out of it here, do you? You don't get composite like you did on the 2000. That's so annoying. Mind you, it comes from the same place actually, you know, a different pin, but... So we might need to just flip this over and remove that and fit the one that he's kindly provided here. Yeah, that one looks okay. It's just got some solder on the pins there, but... anyway, let's just focus on one job at once here. Let's try and fit a pin back onto this if we can. Yeah, so it's that we need to grind there. Yeah, it's quite thick, really, compared to the bit I had on, but it's got a grinding bit on it, so it might be a bit better than... So I need to come in at the top here. Hang on, let's just stop a minute. Yeah, I'm just feeling which way it's rotating. It's rotating that way around. I'll show you, that way, like that. So we're coming down on this pin. If you go the wrong way, you know, you can create problems. Because we're going down, it means we can churn this all away, and we're going to be pulling that way slightly. If that makes sense. There's probably not much difference doing it either way, to be honest, to be fair. Set your eyes when you do something like this as well, so you can see that is working. Let's just improve the focus slightly. Still got a tiny little edge there, look. I really don't know how far I dare go in here. That's enough. That's enough. We've got enough there to get some solder over the top of that. There you go. So you can see what I went over a couple of times on the edge here. It's not a big deal, is it? It's not like this is a pristine example of a working chip. It may not even work after we've done this. But yeah, we're hopefully going to try and fix this now. And I may need to go source another leg, because you know what, this leg might not really do the job. There you go, that's what we want, just like a little bit of solder there. Yeah, the original leg, which I lost it, no, it's here. It's so small, and it's not going to have an overlap. You know, we need to sort of put that over there, like that. Maybe try and use the tweezers just to help me move this around. Yeah, if you hold it in the notch at the bottom, there we go. You can. It's like stuck right out of that, and it's weird. It's really long. Is it really long like that? The curl at the end is just bent out further, so anyway, that just assists us actually, but well, it doesn't really assist us holding it in the right place. Because what I need to try and do is put it here and somehow join that back up. It's going to be fun, isn't it? I expect finger burning. Oh my god, I've got all this solder everywhere there. And obviously getting some solder and flux onto the pin itself first would massively help here. May need to try and do that. Just get a bit of flux on it. I know what's going to happen now, it's going to get sucked up the flux tube. Right, I've got, yeah, look, you see it's not secured at all. Ow, 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 now it's in the wrong place. Oh, go away. It's going to be one of these things I have to do off camera, because there's no way I can do this. I can't hold it, film it, and join it back up over here at all. Oh, it's stuck onto the thing now. I'm sorry that was impossible to show you. I used the pliers here, a vices bar, and then I used the tweezers with a new pin that I took off the same chip we used on the My Mate Vince video, and put the pin on that way. So I'll show you in the microscope now. I'll just give it a quick clean. Obviously it's very fragile, so it's the sort of thing, just pushing it in and out, you need to be careful, you may break pins off. But I think it'll be okay. So you can see it's almost straight. It's almost the same sticking out as the other pins. Anyway, it just needs a gentle clean. And I don't think this is going to make any difference to whether this board boots in its current state, because I do think the Agnus is not making a connection, or the Agnus is bad. I'm inclined to think the Agnus is bad, because the seller of those Agnuses did say it should work in a 500 plus or 600, and you know what, it doesn't, so I think that Agnus is bad. So my next course of action, I think, is going to be to build the adapter from Mike T that Cavanos kindly sent. You know, Mike T designed it, but Cavanos sent it. Let's just have a quick look at that. Yeah, it's a bit sticky out on the top there, isn't it? I think I'm inclined to just file that slightly rather than do anything else, because it's just a tiny point of solder on the top, and if we were to grind that, the pin will just come off. So if I just grind our file downwards each to that point. Right, so pin one on this is bottom right. It's one of the Amiga tech chips, this as well. That would have been towards the end of the life of Commodore. We've got a buster in. So we'll try this Agnus again, but I don't think, unless we had some stilts to extend it, I don't think it's gonna work in this socket. I actually think the chip doesn't work, to be honest. That's just so fluffy. Nope, no RGB. Let's just feel the top of Buster. Yeah, I think we're just not getting clocks. But yeah, we got that as well to deal with, yeah, and we got a few things on here. So annoying. Yeah, and looking at this a bit more closely, both of the hybrids are balked, actually. We've got a load of pins extended out here, away from the edge of the chip. And it's the same here with a couple in this corner. So, before I fit this replacement they sent me... Hang on, that's not a replacement, is it? No, it is, yeah. It looks a bit narrower, it's just that one's got a bigger plastic body. Before I fit that, I'm going to have to work out which one of these is for RGB and which one of them's for the scannable. Yeah, and if you look at the page here, I'm familiar with this page, I spent a lot of time looking at this page when we re-engineered the Amber. Handily using, I didn't have to do much re-engineering, did I? But it was quite a lot of work, but the code base was already there and I had to just do a bunch of changes to it. Anyway, we'll cover that in the next part, I think, because we're going to get a Marine in here, probably part 3. And the hybrid there for the VGA is HY480. So, yeah, I can find 480 there and realise that it's the other one, because at the moment we're not dealing with the VGA output, we're dealing with the hybrid that services the standard RGB. 2 hybrids on this board, they're both identical, but one's for the RGB, SCART output, if you like, and the other one's for the VGA RGB output. I tried one of Kevinus's sockets here, the new sockets, and this gives you an indication of how loose these are. If I just put this on here, it just falls on. So the pins are way too wide, so I can't even just test it that way. Right, so the SCART RGB hybrid is this upright one here, the one that goes that way on the board. So I'm going to desolder that and replace that with the kind of donation that he sent. The other one we'll deal with later, because the other one's damaged as well, as I said. And let's get the wrist strap back on. I'm excited still. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed though, because I think there is quite a lot to do on this board. Some unknowns I still don't really know. Solder's not melting very well. I still don't know the state of a number of things here. Like, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to easily build that Agnus adapter for Mike T, because those can be traumatic. I remember the Live 2 one that was painful to build. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with them, they're really well designed. It's just you've got limitations because you've got a confined space to solder in. Yeah, I'm adding fresh soldering flux to start with here, just to get flux mostly onto them. And it'll just make it a bit easier, I think. Yeah, so in general, if you want to know more about the Amiga 3000, check out some of the other videos. There'll be links down below. We did the full 5-part series for Cathars. That was an extensive corrosion repair. We also looked at the 3000 Plus. There's a video for that. And I recently upgraded the 3000 Plus for TRU, where we fitted Marine. That's an Amber replacement that I created. Yeah, the heat is not passing through. Let's just have a quick go on the other pins anyway. That's it, I'm pulling it off with hot air. I am fed up with it. There we go. I'm saying it's broke, it doesn't look broke now, hang on. Do you know what, it's not broke, maybe I pulled the wrong one off. I don't know, it's kind of shattered up on the edge here that makes you think it's broke. I know it is broke, I think. I can show you that later, we're going to try and fix that anyway. But this is the one for the RGB, so you know what, nothing's lost. If that is alright, and I can clean it up and obviously put it back on. But we've now got the wider problem of some holes here that are not free. Because that's the thing, it's not just a case of getting it off, you've got to get something back in place. Yep, that's not unblocking now. Wonderful. Right, that's it, those are getting drilled out. So I've got to find a drill bit here now that is the same size as these pins, which could be a bit of a problem. must be nearly there. Ah, there we go. Again, just try and collect what we can. Some little bits of solder. I'll show you up close in a minute. Yeah, the holes are perfect. It really isn't this thing that you would normally need to do. It's like, I can't remember when I last did it. I don't do that often. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's ballooning or not. I'll put you on the microscope in a minute, but this section here now is all clean, holes unblocked on either end. So I can now get this replacement hybrid in, I think. So I think the best thing to do here is just try and squeeze these straight, because they just feel a bit squashed. Or bent rather, you know, at a slight angle. And I've obviously got to be careful not to damage this hybrid. It's identical NMB. This one's a Rev 1, that's a Rev 3. So it might not give us quite as good video, I don't know. They revised these quite a bit. Because I did try to use a bit of the braid and some flux here, and that didn't work either. Ah, it was painful. So I had to just use the drill bit on a few of the holes there, and then straighten the pins again and again and again with the pliers. Despite the fact we had crazy temperature around there, alright, the solder points are not representative of factory, but there's no marks or anything anyway, that's that done. So it's got an okay hybrid. This one I think is balked because there's a couple of pins there that look like they're flipped up, but that's the one we care about right now, even if it was the other way around, even if the one we took off was alright, and I think it's not, and I'll show you on the microscope why later. Anyway, I'm going to clean the bench up. Right, as you can see, I've took off that pin header socket. I'm going to stick an actual socket on it, which I may need to remove again and replace with this turn pin stuff again, or whatever it is. Not turn pin, but the pin header. Because I've got that chip here, and I was thinking about it. When it's in a 500 plus, we get no clock, you know, no RGB. That makes sense. I was looking at the pin out of the chip that should be on here, and the 7 MHz clock goes from a completely different pin. So I'm thinking that Agnus may work. I mean, it's a guess. It might not. I might be recreating some work here for myself. But, well, I feel like I need to test it. Yeah, you're not going to believe this. I didn't get a chance to show you last night because the SD card filled up. I fitted that socket, which was a bit bull in a china shop, because we don't know the state of that chip. Yeah, we know it was sold to Jamie. In fact, it wasn't sold to Jamie. Jamie bought something else for 20 or 30 quid, and they sent that instead and went, I sent it by mistake, just keep it, because we sell it for 29 euros anyway. Anyway, so then Jamie's given it to me, and I tested it. I thought I wanted Jamie to be able to recoup the cost for this, rather than just me accept it as a free gift. So I tested it on the 500 plus. You'll see that in the video top right, and it didn't work. There was no RGB signal on the TV. So I was thinking, and I felt the temperature of it with the wrist strap on. It was stone cold. So I'm thinking to myself, well, it's either really balked where the clock gen side's broken, or it's potentially for a 3000. Because of the Dash 18, I'd never seen a Dash 18 on the end, so I put it to the side, and here we are on this board. And this is what made me rush to fit a socket here, but I'm glad I did, because if I switch this on now, you'll see I don't even need to make an adapter. We've got RGB. As soon as I saw that, I knew it was working, but then it's booting diagnostics. I was going to say kickstart, it's booting diagnostics. Now it's a bit sulky boot at the moment. Oh, it booted first time there. Yesterday I found that it would, you know, just like white screen at the end of that process, and then I'd power cycle it, and it probably come up here. It was a bit unstable, and then one time I booted it, it was saying 700 and something K here, not 2 meg. So there's obviously a bad connection somewhere, bad via maybe. But I'm absolutely thrilled to bits, it works. That's just amazing, isn't it? So I need to test more things on this. I need to get a proper kickstart ROMs. Now I've got the flashable ones from Chris at Boobip. I might flash something to those. I think I've got a fully licensed Kickstart 3.2. I might have the 3000 versions of that I could put on there maybe. But I'd like to be able to try and test Zorro, because we've got the Buster. In theory, Zorro cards should work. Anyway, I need to clean up all the solder points underneath that now, and, you know, toothbrush it. But they need reflowing slightly because they're not all large enough. I suspect that some of the instabilities I'm getting are going to be the odd bad via around here that just need plug-in. But it could be slightly questionable chip RAM. The other thing I've noticed here, that this Dash 18, just Googling it, it's a PAL version. So that, you know, some of these Agnuses had PAL NTSC ability, using a jumper like that to swap over. This doesn't have that, it's VBB. Let me switch it off. So it needs the VBB mod, which is a cap on the same pin probably that's used to switch the region. You connect the pin on the chip to ground through a cap, you know, adding a bit of decoupling there. 100 nanofarad. So we're going to need to stick a cap under there to do that mod. I'll check that is the VBB pin that goes to that switch. So at the moment it's on NTSC. Technically it needs to be on PAL. In fact, I don't know whether that's a good idea to switch that over, you know, because I'm thinking the position it was in, it might be ground, and it's supposed to be ground, maybe. I don't know. If we would suddenly feed a high into that, like 5 volts, and it's supposed to be ground, we may kill it or something. So I'm just going to leave it on the NTSC position until I know what I'm doing with the VBB pin of this jumper. But you also sent me that crystal that's across the other side of the room right now, and that's to swap out the one down here, or wherever it is, the 28 point whatever, because there's a variation in the speeds there between NTSC systems and PAL systems. So I'm going to need to put that PAL crystal on there. I'm so pleased though, I can't believe it. I honestly can't believe it. So I will revisit this adapter for Mike T. I mean, you saw we damaged a pad on this, removing, you know, the stuff that was there already. I really should have done things the other way around, but I'm like a kid in a sweet shop kind of thing. I couldn't wait to get this working, and I just had this feeling, this gut feeling, that if I get a normal socket on there and try the chip that Jamie was given, I bet it will work. And lo and behold, it does. So yeah, I'm just amazed. Right, I'm just going to equal the size of some of the solder blobs here. Some of them have hardly got any solder on. And then I'm going to slightly change this wire, because at the moment it comes around this way, curls that way, and goes over there. So I'm just going to, you know, pull it off here, and then it goes straight across between the gap of the pins and onto the pin there. So yeah, that's just one of those unfortunate things that, yeah, I was perhaps a bit impatient with that side of the pin strip when I was pulling it off. I must have pulled the trace and the wire and everything. I just didn't know I was doing it. I honestly didn't. I didn't see anything, didn't get any resistance, didn't notice anything. So it's a bit of a strange one though. Right, short that wire, reflowed everything around there. Now clean again. Yeah, there we go. That's not looking bad at all, is it? Not bad at all. So flip that back over. We need to get the chip back in. Yeah, so just looking underneath here, the jumper for NTSC PAL is here. So I'm guessing one connection is going to go to Agnus here. It's 40. Is it pin 42? I can never remember. Let's just go from. Hang on, let's find out which one's ground. One side's going to be ground probably. Yeah, left side's ground. That means, well, logic says the centre's got to be the actual connection of the jumper then. Otherwise it wouldn't be a jumper. So let's just go across here. It's that one. So that one there, I think, just needs a cap to ground, as far as I can understand. And we need to remove the jumper. Thinking about it, because you don't want either 5 volts or ground to go to it. You just want this position here to go to ground, if that makes sense. You don't bear it over a cap, decouple to ground, not straight to ground. And I suspect at the moment it's in the ground position. Let's just confirm that. It might not be. Yes, it is. If we'd had it the other way around, we'd be feeding 5 volts in there probably. So yeah, you can argue a looks out using this Agnus in its configuration at the moment, having it in the right region. If I'd switched it to PAL, we're feeding 5 volts into the VBB pin. Yeah, and well, I don't know what would happen. Potentially bad things. It may get hot. It may just not work. It may still work and not give any issues. I don't know. All I remember is when I've done these before, like 500 plus with the VBB mod, if you've not got that mod in place, it can be a bit glitchy. It can be a bit weird. It can act a bit strange. Because I had that with my 500 plus, and anyway, let's get a cap on there. I'll go and get one. I'm just going to test that again. So we're going to go from the center point, which is, you know, the region switch there, to here. It's that one, yeah. And then from the left side, which is, hang on, from the ground, right, yeah, that's grounded at the moment, hang on. And that's the ground. So if I put my cap in between those two there, problem solved, and we obviously remove the jumper. I'll think of some way to indicate that that jumper doesn't need to be fitted. Let's just measure one of those up. Is that going to be too big? That's going to be too big. Let's see if I've got some smaller. It still looks a bit tight, that, doesn't it? To go in between the chips. So let's go out of the size down. Let's try this one. This one will definitely fit. It wants to come in this gap here, like that. Yeah, and then I'm going to use Cavanos tweezers for this. It's like Cavanos boards, Cavanos tweezers, Cavanos cam, Cavanos for president. And you could argue fitting it with hot air might be a bit easier. Anyway, I'm going to try and use the tweezers to not lose it. Here we go. And I'm going to try and squeeze it in down here like this. Nope. It's really hard because I just can't get my hands at the right angles. Right, there we go. That's what I was aiming for. Just try and secure it on one side. Let's now just get a little bit of solder on that top point. A little bit down there again. You can see it joined the cap there, and we'll just reflow that side with a tiny bit more. That's it. Cap in position. Of all the crazy things that have happened to me on my channel, that ATX adapter there, connected to the power supply, just happened to go into my cup of tea. Like submerged completely. I had to spray it with loads of contact cleaner and dry it all out, and then IPA, and then dry it out with hot air. Anyway, there's no tea in there. That was so annoying. I was like, I'm just ready to test. No, you're not. Your ATX adapter's in your tea. And now I need to go and myself a nice new cup of tea, don't I? So let's get this back in. Like that. I'm going to just put my fingers on that just to make sure it doesn't go red hot. Because one fear I have with this is it might be a different pin on this. The VBB pin might not be where I'm thinking it is. Yeah, not getting hot. Be interesting to see if it's any more stable like this as well. Like, if I'm honest, I'm kind of expecting some instability still. Maybe from a bad via from the original corrosion repair. Alright, let's try that. Oh, yeah, we are getting RGB. Yeah, just for a minute I thought we were not getting RGB. No, it's booting. That's a good sign. Yeah, so I may power this a few times, power cycle it a few times, just to see if, it's consistent. We've got 2 meg, so we'll do that now. I'll just try it a few times and just see, is it booting consistently? And I obviously need to change the crystal, because the crystal speed's not right at the moment. Yep, that's looking good. Yeah, it's booted every time so far. Makes me wonder what the instabilities were yesterday. Was it the VBB pin? Yeah, that seems fine. Yeah, solid. Right, so we've got that there. I'm just thinking, I think I've got a new daughter board somewhere from someone. From Barry, I think. I honestly can't remember. Maybe I'm imagining things. I don't know where that would be, because it would be quite a large PCB. Maybe I haven't. Maybe I'm imagining things. Anyway, we've got a Zorro card here, and these go this way up, don't they? Do they? Yeah, front of the system's there, back of the system's there. And that was consistent between the different machines. Let's just stick in the top slot. So that's the Live 2, Gotta Go Fast 3. Zorro 3, that is, not 3. He hasn't done 3 cards, it's just an amazing Zorro 2 and an amazing Zorro 3. So let's get that in there. I'm going to boot this up and see if we've got any additional RAM. I'm just going to put my fingers on there actually, I've got the wrist strap on. Yeah, seems alright. Right, so it won't detect any additional RAM to start with. We've got to go into the Zorro stuff. I think we need to. It's other tests, is it? Complete auto. No, it's not. Auto config. Oh, we can do that. Auto config detailed. There we go. And then we need to do memory, complete memory detection, or auto config automatic. I think that's the same thing we just did, effectively. Yeah, still no additional memory. Complete memory detection. 256 meg. Hey! 256 meg, how fast. So, that buster seems to be working, doesn't it? Assuming buster's... Yeah, I think buster's working. Because I think buster's not working, you don't get any auto config stuff. So, I'm very pleased. Let's do detected fast mem. So I would assume that's that 256 meg, because there's no other fast memory on here. Anyway, I'll leave that going. It's going to take quite a while. Yeah, it says there detected 256 meg. Yeah, after a while trying to test that RAM, we've got an issue, look. I'm not sure if it's now glitching again. What was happening, it was like sticking on the white screens originally. There. Now it's booted. Yeah, so there's some instability. Agnus did say that. This board's got some sort of instability. It could be quite difficult trying to diagnose that. So an absolutely enormous thank you to Agnus for every bit of help he's given me on the channel so far. You know, he funded some of the furniture in this room. He put some money towards the shelves in this room when we moved in here. There were a number of people. Retro Game Revival helped out as well, but Agnus has been a massive help to the channel. You know, he's provided the microscope, I got the tweezers, and then when I was looking around for a faulty board, and I missed out on eBay, I bidded, I think, up to £150, and I just missed out. And I was gutted. I mean, that board was corroded so badly. It would have made an interesting repair. It probably would have been a 10-part job or something. But anyway, Agnus turned around and said, Chris, don't buy that board. Don't buy that board. You can have this old board. I've got an old board here for you. I was going to send it to you. Which is just incredible. He's such an amazing person. The cost of the board, the time and stuff, you know, to get it off to me. And all the stuff he threw in there as well. And obviously the expense. There's a lot of money, you know, gone into that package that he sent me. The BFG, all the little bits and pieces, the chips and stuff. It was amazing that this 3000 had a Fat Gary as well already on there. I managed to fix that Super Buster as you saw. We'll test that more in the next video. There's still a lot to do. There's a few parts to this because we need to get a re-SDMAC on there. We need a, you know, a Super DMAC, and those are very, very expensive, but the new re-SDMAC from Mike T, we cover that in the next video, I think. There's a few issues and there's a fault on this board, but it's not really a fault. And I actually think that maybe it might not just be this 3000 that suffers from this, and some other 3000s out there might have the same issue. And it relates to the SCSI issues that you get on the 3000. You'll see I have some fun and games with SCSI. So I don't know, does it affect other people? I don't know. Will anybody else be able to use what I found in this video to fix theirs? Maybe, or to make it more stable, maybe. As you'll see, the issue that I find with the SCSI, it's not actually a fault, that the part is okay, but changing the part for some other subtly different part actually resolves it and makes it totally stable. You'll see anyway in the next part. And we'll look at the RAM upgrade that he sent as well. I need to get the, you know, the 16 megabytes on board sorted out. We need kickstart ROMs, and there is a stability issue with this, and there's also a second stability issue that I actually introduced in this video. I'll leave you guessing on what it actually was. If you'd like to support the channel, please hit the Coffee and Patreon links down below. I'll catch you in the next video.